Hello everyone, and welcome to Galaxy 89 Cars. Today, thanks to Porsche GB, I'm bringing you an in-depth exterior and interior tour and exhaust video of this 2019 Porsche Macan. Many new and previous Porsche models can also be acquired through Porsche Centre Reading, so please find a direct link to them in the description of the video. With production starting in 2014, the Macan is a relatively new model range at Porsche. It was designed as a more compact, driver-focused, usable and affordable alternative to the Cayenne. Since then, Porsche's first crossover SUV has gone through several updates and grown into 3 available powertrain options: 2-litre inline-4, 3-litre V6 diesel and 3-litre V6 petrol, and 5 model options: Macan, S, S diesel, GTS and turbo. This latest Macan offers an overhauled chassis and aesthetic exterior and interior updates that we will explore throughout the video. The new Macan, here finished in a new paint option called Mamba Green, with further new colours such as the Crayon and Miami Blue cars seen here, comes in at 4,696mm long, an increase of 15mm, 1,923mm wide with mirrors folded, 1,624mm high, and a curb weight of 1,770kg. Before we can take a look at the engine bay, we need to unlatch the bonnet, using the latch found to the right of the driver's footwell. A central catch below the bonnet needs to be pushed to the left, and then the bonnet can be lifted up and self-supported on 2 struts. Looking up, the underside of the bonnet is quite a functional area. There are vents at the end and sides that help aspiration, and also help to release hot air from the engine. Below this we find a heat shield. This base model facelifted Macan is powered by a front-mounted 2-litre turbo inline-4 petrol engine, which produces 245 brake horsepower and 370 Nm of torque. This output produces a 0 to 62 mph or 100 km/h time of 6.7 seconds, and a top speed of 139 mph. Once finished with, the bonnet can be manually brought down and fixed into position with a hard depress. This car is sitting on the optional 21-inch front and rear Sport Classic wheels, finished in satin platinum. These are one of 14 wheel options available, with 18-inch alloy wheels coming as standard. Braking is provided by ventilated discs at each corner, 345mm at the front and 330mm at the rear. Stability comes from front fully independent wishbones and a rear multi-link setup with steel springs. There is also an adaptive air suspension system, the optional Porsche Active Suspension Management System for adjustable damping, and Porsche Torque Vectoring Plus system for enhanced cornering and stability, via varying torque and subtle braking to individual rear wheels, have also been spec'd in this car. The Macan comes with active all-wheel drive and an automatic limited slip differential at the rear to provide suitable SUV traction, but also ensure Porsche driving characteristics. Now we've finished the model overview, we can start the exterior in-depth tour from front to back. The optional Sport Design Pack has been spec'd here, which changes certain panels and turns others body colour or black. We will of course explore all of these in detail. Thanks to the Sport Design Pack that we've just mentioned, the lower front grille has a more smooth bump plate after the removal of the running boards. This lower section is now integrated into the lower panel. There are 2 additional air intakes on either side for brake cooling. The Sport Design Pack also removes the lateral openings that were fog lights in the previous models. The main grille above is largely unchanged, except for new prominent vertical struts, once again thanks to the Sport Design Pack. The LED strip has now been moved down on the lateral intake grilles. These now also have one less horizontal strake. The air intake behind it is also bigger, thanks to the Sport Design Pack. Above these we find the optional LED main lights in black, including the Porsche Dynamic Lighting System Plus with adaptive and static cornering and range abilities. The metal Porsche crest sits centrally. Moving up, the bonnet retains its 4 dynamic lines that create a subtle power dome centrally. There's a large windscreen behind with 2 wipers below. Moving up, we find the optional aluminium roof rails finished in black. We can now move to the lateral aspect of the Macan. The side skirts have been painted body colour as a result of the Sport Design Pack, but otherwise come in black. The gloss black strips above appear to be largely unchanged. Above, we find the optional sport design and body-coloured wing mirrors with V-shaped bases, cylindrical as standard, and integrated indicators. Moving along, the windows still come in a flowing design, but with the optional privacy glass. The form of the door handles below are unchanged, becoming the optional gloss black finish. Now moving from the left to the right side of the vehicle, we find the fuel tank flap. This is for the 65-litre petrol fuel tank, although this can be upgraded to 75 litres. This version of the Macan has an estimated combined MPG of 39.2. Moving up and back, we find the roof spoiler, here finished in body colour thanks to the Sport Design Pack. This comes with an integrated LED brake light strip. The tinted rear window with a single wiper is below. Moving down, we come to one of the new design signatures at Porsche, this rear width LED light strip, here in the optional clear or tinted finish. The main light complexes on either side have been totally redesigned. There are now 4 individual LED strips on each side, in addition to the central strip and another sweeping strip below. Centrally, we now find Porsche integrated below the LED strip and written in embossed characters with Macan underneath. At the very bottom of the rear, there are new slimmer reflectors on either side, a 3-fin diffuser with a slim contact plate, and the quad-exit optional sport tailpipes. A full valve-controlled sports exhaust system is also available. Let's hear how it sounds, first in normal and then in sport. Now we've finished the exterior in-depth tour, we can move inside. The Macan comes with the standard 911 inspired key, with 3 buttons to lock, unlock and open the boot. The gloss black handles and doors pull out easily, and looking inside we are greeted by the optional black leather package, where we find extended smooth finish leather on the dash and doors, and optional piano black inlays. We can now start the in-depth interior tour with the doors. The leather upholstered top section starts with the red LED lock indicator and gradually flattens out as we move along. Underneath we find an aluminium and optional piano black inlay that runs along to the internal lock and lock controls and door release. If the optional seat memory controls were selected, this is where we'd find them. There's an open leather upholstered panel below this, with the leather upholstered armrest and controls for the boot, windows and mirrors, with a first speaker from the standard 150 watt 10 speaker system. Bose and Burmeister systems are also available. Finally, there's an open storage area at the bottom of the front doors, split into 2 compartments, and further along a second speaker. The new Macan has 2 max ground clearance measurements, depending on whether the steel or optional adjustable air suspension has been selected, 205 or 230mm respectively. However, the sill is not wide, so ingress and egress is still a comfortable process. Moving into the car, we find the standard door sill guards emblazoned with Macan. Carbon, illuminated and personalised options are also available. As we move up, we find the bonnet release, exterior light controls and key port, and the first manually adjustable air vent. Moving to the left, we find the standard leather upholstered steering wheel. A GT Sports option is also available. Taking a closer look, the leather at the top is separate from the sides to help accentuate the grip positions. There are controls to the left for volume, accept calls, and a diamond button that can be reassigned many different functions. The Porsche crest, horn and airbag are central, with reject call and buttons for the instrument cluster ahead. Behind and on either side, we find the paddles for the 7-speed PDK automatic transmission. Manual shifting can be done here, or with the gear selector found to the left. Unlike many modern cars, the Macan requires the key to be manually inserted and turned. The instrument cluster ahead is formed from 3 standard coloured dials, from left to right. Analog speedo with small digital dash showing mileage, analog rev gauge with gears selected, and digital screen showing speed, and a fully digital trip screen on the right, with time and outside temperature below. Vehicle is the first menu shown, with water and oil temperature, oil pressure and battery voltage. This has a secondary menu for info for service schedule messages, oil measurements, limits and settings. Controls for the AM, FM and DAB digital radio with station lists are next. Phone connections are next, with date below. Then the navigation screen, which offers route guidance. There are manual and auto zoom functions, a 3D map view, and finally, to ensure north points upwards. The trip comes next for drive time, distance, MPG and average speed. Then the tyre pressure monitor, and finally, all-wheel drive information. These dials can also be Mojave beige, Gars red and white. As previously mentioned, this can all be accessed using the button and scroll wheel to the right. Looking up, the dash is a flat leather upholstered area, with venting on either side and centrally. The optional Sport Chrono stopwatch hasn't been selected here. Moving down, we find the new 11-inch infotainment screen. As with the Panamera video I produced last year, the infotainment screen is crisp and very responsive. The main menu offers 7 shortcut menu options. but there is also a column to the left-hand side where all options can be found. Apple CarPlay is also available here. Navigation is first, which offers very responsive slide, pinch and spread controls. There are 3 submenus for the map: destination for manual input, recent destinations, points of interest, and finally favourites, where home and work addresses can be saved. Next is media for the AM, FM and DAB digital radio, with station list displaying station icons. Then phone for phone connectivity for calls and messaging, and access to the contacts database. There are 4 sub-options in car, with vehicle coming first. Here we can alter options regarding the locking system, exterior lights and wiper settings, and air conditioning and heating. Here we can also access the extended trip that's subdivided into personal trip for real-time driver-focused data, current drive trip, total trip with average fuel consumption of 23.5 mpg, and trip to the last destination. Going back, displays can be used to adjust brightness, to turn the screen off, adjust proximity sensors, and touch tone settings for non-physical buttons. Systems is the second to last option screen here and offers adjustments for date and time, units, voice controls, language, software updates and factory defaults, with the final screen being a digital copy of the user's handbook. Apps can provide useful information for weather, which comes with a detailed forecast, news, petrol stations in the local area, in addition to hotels, parking, restaurants and Google search. The next menu is for sound, where the user can manually alter the surround sound system's balance and fade location inside the cockpit. Treble and bass can also be manually adjusted, as well as volume controls for various features. The final menu is for general settings. Moving down, we find a row of physical direct access controls for, from left to right: source, sound, volume scroller, media, phone, apps, car, navigation, return and options. Below these, there are 2 manually adjustable air vents. The first array of buttons on the central column are for, from left to right: hazard lights, front demist, recirculation and sync, then Porsche hill control, which helps the user when driving down gradients of at least 12 degrees, rear demist, AC max and AC. The main physical control arrays with the PDK gear selector is behind. From left to right, passenger zone temperature and fan speed with digital display, air direction with auto function, optional 3-stage passenger heated seat, sport mode that comes as standard for ECU adjustments, optional PASM adaptive damping control for comfort, sport and sport plus, traction control, and off-road mode that optimises traction, suspension and vectoring systems for off-road driving. The parking brake is central under a metal Macan plaque. Then moving up, driver's zone temperature and fan speed, driver's zone air direction with auto mode, optional driver's 3-stage heated seat, lane tracking assist and stop start. Centrally, we find the drive selector for the auto 7-speed dual-clutch PDK transmission. Behind this is an open storage compartment with a 12-volt socket. There are 2 open and fixed cup holders behind this. Moving back, we find the small leather upholstered armrest that can be pulled up easily to reveal what is quite a deep central storage area, with wireless phone charging and connectivity for SIM, SD and 2 USB ports. The lid can be easily placed back into position once finished with. Moving down to the right, the side of the central column has this grille effect, which is indicative of a speaker, but it could just be for weight saving. On either side of this, we find the seats. The standard 8-way driver and 6-way passenger electrically controlled and heated seats have been spec'd here, with the optional black leather package. 14 and 18-way adaptive seats are also available. All movement controls can be found to the outside edge. Now we've finished in the front, we can move to the rear. The rear door interiors are constructed in a very similar way to those at the front, with the optional piano black and aluminium inlay with the release and speaker below. Electric window control, leather upholstered door handle and armrest with an open storage area and final speaker below. Now sitting in the rear, we can look down to see the available legroom with the driver's seat pushed back into a comfortable driving position. A slight amount of space is afforded thanks to the cutaways along the rear of the front seats. Now taking a more detailed look at features in the rear, we can start with the seats. Seating in the rear is comprised of a bench with 2 full seats on either side with increased side bolstering and an occasional seat centrally. Above the doors we find handles and reading lights. Moving round to the left, we come to the end of the central column. It projects into the rear with manual air vents and separate temperature controls to the front, as well as 2 USB inputs below. Finally, we come to the central occasional seat. The back can be pulled down with some effort to reveal an armrest with 2 fixed cup holders. This can be easily pushed back once finished with. Now we've finished in the rear, we can move outside to see the car's remaining storage capacity. The boot can be opened using the button inside or that on the key. It offers a capacity of 500 litres here, but with the seats down, this can be extended to 1500 litres. The long bag seen here carries the optional roof transport system that attaches to the optional aluminium roof rails on top of the car. Taking a closer look at the boot, we can see that it's quite a large area with netting to the right hand side carrying the medkit. The floor of the boot can be lifted up for additional space and the location for storing the optional toolset and spare wheel. The boot lid can then be closed using the auto soft close function seen here. We can now move back inside briefly to see the Macan's final few features. Looking up, we find large leather upholstered sun visors with vanity mirrors. Centrally, there is another button array for the hands-free microphones, front and rear parking sensors off. The Macan can also come with a reversing camera and full 360-degree park assist system. And finally, individual buttons for the front reading lights. Below this is the auto-dimming rearview mirror. So that concludes my in-depth tour of this 2019 facelifted Macan 2-litre. Thanks again to Porsche GB and Porsche Centre Reading. Please find all of their contact details in the description of the video. Please subscribe for the latest content, and until next time, thanks for watching.